Greetings from the Jazz Cloud. I'm Richie Zellen, welcoming you to another lesson on the Jazz Guitar channel. And this is part 3 of the 5 practice habits of great jazz musicians. In part 1, I explained the concept of deliberate practice as applied to jazz. In part 2, I shared with you how great musicians practice to expand their improvisational vocabulary. And today we are ready to conclude with the 3 remaining habits. So let's get started. Habit number 3. Great jazz musicians are constantly expanding their repertoire. Unlike beginning to intermediate jazz musicians who might only have 10 to 20 standards memorized, the greats usually will have at least 300 tunes under their belt. And this means melody and chord changes which they can transpose to any key on the spot. Their practice routine involves understanding the tune's makeup, which entails identifying all its harmonic cadences and playing it in different keys and tempos, and above all, being able to improvise over it fluently. And at this point, the musician's mental representation is so detailed that he can hear in his head exactly how every note and rhythm is going to sound a millisecond before he plays it. And every note that follows is in the context of what was previously played. And that's why master jazz improvisers are, in essence, great storytellers. Habit number 4. Great jazz musicians practice tone, dynamics, and articulation. Great musicians are particularly concerned with the tone quality that emanates from their instrument. What good is it to play all the right notes and rhythms with a tone that sucks? And dynamics are also important. To tell a story during your solo, you have to know what notes to play softer and which ones to play louder. You also have to be in control of all the articulation resources available on your instrument. And of course, this can vary from instrument to instrument. On the guitar, for example, we have the ability to play staccato or legato, employing either slurs, pull-offs, or hammer-ons. And we sometimes also have the ability to bend the string in order to change a pitch. And of course, there are other resources. But like I said at the beginning, deliberate practice is at the core of each one of these habits, and all of these resources form part of the detailed mental representation that a great jazz musician approaches any piece of music with. If you want to know more about this aspect, in the past I posted a video which is part of a series called 10 Tips to Improve Your Jazz Solos. And the video is called Use Dynamics and Articulation. And I'll place a link in the description below. And on that note, we're ready to proceed with habit number 5. Great jazz musicians practice virtually when away from their instrument. Great jazz musicians live and breathe music during most of their waking hours. When they listen to music away from their instrument, they don't listen to it the same way an ordinary musician does. And I know we don't have to even play an instrument to enjoy a good recording, but what I'm talking about here goes beyond mere enjoyment or pleasure. The great musicians hear and identify details in a recording that ordinary ones don't. They can sing back the notes and identify where they would play them in their instrument almost instantly after hearing them. So when listening to music, they're actually practicing a form of ear training. As a matter of fact, if they are currently practicing a transcription on their instrument, when away from it, say in their car, when they're driving, they'll be listening to a recording of the transcription and maybe sing along with it until it is almost memorized. When they sit down to practice again, they already have a good mental representation of how it should sound, and they assimilate it much faster. And you know, I encounter many jazz students who don't take advantage of their time away from the instrument to keep learning and practicing. Yes, So I recommend that they compile and listen to recordings of the exercises that they are practicing, as well as any recordings of transcriptions they might be working on. And also, if they are learning a tune, it is good to listen to as many versions of different artists playing and improvising over it. It has been said that the first step to achieving mastery is recognizing mastery in others. And that's why great musicians are known to have massive record collections. They know, at least intuitively, that immersing themselves in the recordings of the masters will enable them to detect the patterns that make up the underlying structure of the music without even trying to learn a thing. Cognitive psychologists call this phenomena implicit learning. So remember, when away from your instrument, listen, listen, listen. The more remarkable examples you have to listen, study, and dissect, the easier it will be to be influenced by them. And trust me, each time you do get reunited with your instrument, all this will make the limited time you have to practice a lot more productive. And this concludes the final habit I wanted to share with you. Yes, there are many more unique habits that great jazz musicians have in common, but I believe they are all somewhat related to the ones I just described. I hope this lesson will inspire you to practice more efficiently. As usual, I welcome your likes and comments, and if this is your first time on the Jazz Guitar channel and you enjoyed this lesson, please subscribe. Until we meet again, practice, 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 and may peace be with you.